Hello, I'm Davis, and welcome to a new season of UNL Recall, a show where we recap what happened last week and give you a glimpse into what UNL is like. Uh, Man, season 4, what a ridiculous start to this season. I don't remember, like, in the four seasons that we've had so far, I don't remember a week one as crazy as this. So many things have happened in the span of 2 days. We've had a pentakill. We've had a base race. We've had ridiculous objective steals that should not have happened. We've had incredibly close games, but we've also had one very, very good display of macro. Like, it was, like, it was a, it was a buffet of League of Legends. You know, choose whatever you want. All of the games you could possibly wish for, they were all there. But first, before we jump into preseason power rankings and compare those to week one results, let's look at the standings as they currently are right now. It's only 1 week, but we can draw out some first conclusions. Some things did not quite go according to expectations, but we'll get into that later. Invulnerables share first place with Ruined Kings at 2-0. Then we have 4 teams tied at third: Invictus, Ghostport Gods, Hivemind, and Wings Club. X and Alpha Aquarium only played one game, so they didn't really get to redeem themselves. They sit at 0-1, and Gourmet Gang, the only team at the bottom of the table, 0-2. Still plenty of time to bounce back, but not the best showing for Gourmet Gang. They'll be looking to hopefully perform better in the weeks to come. Now let's talk about preseason power rankings, shall we? This is a fun little experiment that I decided to do. We didn't really have anything like this in the previous season. Yeah, just getting to see other people's opinions on how strong the teams are going into the new season and comparing those results with how the season goes on. Like the first week, obviously that's fun to look at, but it'll be even more fun to look at once we're at the end of regular season. But still, this is still something to think about here. Let's look at this first graph that I prepared for you. Only if I can find it. All right, there we go. So this, before I show you like the ultimate rankings, the results that I've got at the end, we'll take a look at some graphs. Everyone likes graphs, right? Let us show the first one on screen. So here's how the vote distribution looked like if we presented in an area chart like this. Let's explain how that works. So we've got placements from 1st to 9th. If you look at Alpha Aquarium, for example, this team got the most votes when it comes to first place. So this is at the left of the graph, you see Alpha Aquarium. This is their peak, so to speak, and you can see those peaks everywhere on this graph. So this gives you a little bit of an idea as to where people think these teams will end up at the end of the day. You have teams like Offroll, Ruined Kings, Hex on the left side of the graph, while Invulnerables, Be Invictus, and Gourmet Gang are more to the right side at 7th to 9th. Also, we have Wings was a bit of Wings Club was a little bit of a interesting case. A lot of variance when it comes to their votes, but mostly somewhere in the middle of the table. Ghostport Gods, by far the most votes for 6th. And some teams such as Hivemind were like pretty balanced in terms of votes. They got votes for all kinds of placements from first even to 5th, so their peaks are not as high, but still you can see both Hivemind and Hex to the left side of his graph. Okay, now let's look at the individual teams in alphabetical order. So we'll start with B Invictus. B Invictus is mostly seen as a team that will not make playoffs, although some people are believers, mostly 6th place believers, but we also have some top 3 believers. Yeah, mostly votes for 8th, 7th, and 9th. So Invictus not quite making playoffs, but obviously, you know, this does not represent the team's actual power levels. Remember this, just kind of the expectations that other people have coming into the season. Well, if you look at the roster, Gulungulate, Aussie Nox, Dabis, Fool, and Enix, I guess people did not really believe either in the individual power of some of the players or just the team's potential as a complete unit. But yeah, we'll see how B Invictus plays in the next weeks. They are now 1-1. They got a victory against Gourmet Gang and they lost to Ruined Kings in a pretty close game. Now let's move on to Ghostport Gods. Ghostport Gods, like I said, most people predict them to finish at 6th, although you have there's an interesting distribution here. You have some people placing them even as high as top 3. There was 1 vote for first place. Maybe some Ghostport Gods fans can chime in this one. Oh, I see. I already see some responses in the chat to that one. Yeah, mostly 6th place. Ghostport Gods. So perhaps a little bit of a B to C tier team. Not quite at the top, but still can be competitive. I guess this is what other people's opinions are of Ghostport Gods on average. But there's also quite a bit of there's a large group of votes that would place them outside of playoffs, but still. Largest number of votes is 6th place. Now, let's see Gourmet Gang. Gourmet Gang is the next team. Oh, wrong button. I apologize. ShareX. Let's see Gourmet Gang now. Gourmet Gang. Right here, the situation is pretty obvious. Most people see Gourmet Gang as a 9th place team, last place in the league. Some people have them at 8th, some people have them 7th, but there's a pretty clear consensus here. Gourmet Gang will not make playoffs according to the general public. Yes, in Season 3, Bamboo's team did not fare much better than 9th place. They also didn't make it to playoffs. Perhaps this season will be a turnaround for the team. Week 1 wasn't the best for them. They got 1-2 after matches against Invol and the Invictus, but there's still plenty of weeks to play in, so do not count any team out just yet. Let's move on to Hex. Hex is the next team. Now this is interesting. Hex had, yeah, only a select few placed Hex outside of top four, which is quite an it is a sign as to how people perceive Hex as a team. Plenty of votes for first place. Also, a lot of votes for third and fourth. It's mostly top four, predominantly top four when it comes to Hex. Hex is perceived as a very strong team going into the regular season. Right now, we are 0-1 after losing to Hivemind. It was a quite peculiar game, but that's alright. Losses happen to anyone, and I do believe Hex will play better as the season goes on. Yeah, quite interesting. Hex did not get the highest amount of votes for first though, but yeah, we'll see other teams later. Now let's move on to Hivemind. Hivemind is projected quite uniformly. Let's look at this. The same amount of votes for fifth, third, and second place. Hivemind is very much seen as a playoff team, but where exactly in the playoffs, I guess, depends on who you ask. Uh, yeah, some people believe, uh, especially the jungle mid duo is enough to propel Hivemind to as high as third or second place, but then uh, some would point to the fact that certain parts of the map could be exploitable, so they believe, or certain players in that team are prone to making risky plays that could impact the outcome of the game. But regardless, Hivemind is still regarded as a strong team, and according to the public, they will make playoffs most definitely. Only a only like I guess 2 people voted Hivemind to finish outside of playoffs. So that gives you a pretty clear picture. Now we move on from Hivemind to Invulnerables. And this is where we get our first surprise. If you remember the standings, of course, that I showed you earlier, this is a pretty big surprise. First pretty big surprise on this list. Here's Invulnerable's graph, and as you can see, well, spot the difference is Invulnerables apparently are a team that will not make playoffs. Or at least that's what people believed. Right now, Invulnerables are sitting pretty at first place, tied with Ruin Kings, after week 1. Obviously, it's too early to tell about anything, but I think it's quite clear that Invulnerables have showed up big in the first week, and they have surpassed the expectations by a lot. Most votes for 8th place, so clearly outside of playoff range, and also a lot of votes for 7th and 9th. Yeah, well, this is something. Invulnerables. Yeah, we'll see how the season progresses. Right now, they are looking pretty strong indeed, and they are proving the haters wrong. if you take this graph into consideration. Now we move on to Off-Roll Aquarium. Now, Off-Roll Aquarium is perceived by many to be the clear favorite. 12 votes for first place. Many people also choosing them to finish outside of first place, but also in the top 4. There's a bit of a reverse graph when you compare it to Gourmet Gang. a lot of people voting for first, and then the graph quickly tapers off. Well, yeah, Awful Aquarium is right now in the same position as Hex. They're 0-1 after losing to Ruined Kings in a game that you could argue they should have won. Perhaps not. I mean, it's not for me to decide on this one, but yeah, Awful Aquarium still most likely a team that will make playoffs according to the votes. Very much a strong team, potentially a team that could even win the season. Now we move on to Ruined Kings. And here we see Ruined Kings, most votes for second. Quite a big margin. And then everything else is quite balanced. You have some votes for first, you have votes for third place, and votes for fourth. And then after that is just the outliers remaining, I suppose. Though some people do believe that Ruined Kings will finish somewhere around 6th or 7th. We'll see if the trends will be confirmed by Ruined Kings. Right now they are 2-0. They're tied with Invulnerables for first place. Pretty good showing from them, although both of their games have been quite scrappy. They still have some stuff to work on, but right now they are in a good position in the standings. And from Ruined Kings, we move on to Wings Club, the last team on the list. Wings Club is probably the most chaotic team when it comes to this voting. A lot of disagreements on this one. You have some people putting them as high as first or third, and then you have a certain group of people voting Wings for 8th place, and then yeah, you have the most votes for 5th place, and then also by a large number of votes for 4th place. So neither here nor there. Wings Club, I guess people did not really know what to expect from this team. Right now, they are 1-1. You could argue they could have secured the 2-0 week, but yeah, an unfortunate defeat against Gourmet Gang. They kind of let the hands off the wheel on that one. But yeah, they still, after week 1, I would say that they still look like a strong team. Very much a playoff contender. And we'll see if they can achieve more than that. Okay, we've seen all the individual graphs, and now let's take a look at the averages, all summed up together. What do the rankings look like? And the results for preseason power rankings are as follows. Hex actually takes first because they have, I think, they have received more votes for top 4 in general, while receiving fewer votes when it comes to placements like 6th or 7th place, while Awful Aquarium did receive some of the votes, like 5th, 6th, or 7th. Awful Aquarium did have more first place votes, so it's a little bit unfortunate, but still, you can see that those teams are pretty much in the same tier. The margin is pretty low. Then you have Ruined Kings, Hivemind, also somewhat in the same tier, 3.43 compared to 3.53. The difference is not very big. Wings Club at 4.84. Ghostboard Gods at 5.96, and then outside of playoffs contention, according to the public, Vulnerables at 7th, 6.65. Then Be Invictus 8th, and Gourmet Gang closing the table at 9th, 7.37. So Invulnerables largely outperforming expectations so far. The rest of the table, yeah, when you look, especially when you look at top three, some teams did not quite get there yet, but obviously we have so many more games to play. All right, that was preseason power rankings. In short, it was a quite fun experiment. We learned a little bit about the perception of some teams, and hopefully we'll get to see these power rankings again at the end of regular season and then compare once more. Now we move on to the next topic, which is Week 1 recap. Let's look at what happened in the last week, game by game, and there's a lot to talk about here. So day 1, we opened up with Hivemind versus Wings Club. This was a highly anticipated match, but I would argue it did not quite live up to the expectations. Wings Club just absolutely made it rain in the bot lane. So many solo kills over there, just very much dominating the laning phase. And then past that point, it really just felt like Hivemind did not have the damage to compete versus the other team. Also, yeah, let me put up the schedule for week 1 while we're here. All right, there we go. And we had Gourmet Gang versus Be Invictus. A match between projected 8th and projected 9th. Be Invictus was another quite dominant performance. Be Invictus chose 3 globals to fight against Twisted Fate. You have 1 global? Well, we have more than you. So sit down. This is where Be Invictus essentially just smothered the map. Did not let off the gas. When they got the lead in the early to mid game, they did not let go of it. Rise was a constant threat in the side lane, and when they tried to kill him, well, this is what happened. Let's take a look.
Senna does insane.
Yeah.
Senna's got crackers.
What's she doing?
She does. Well, it's not a Ginsu's build anymore, so Ginsu's okay. Davis is gonna
because he's doing like almost
Davis
AoE.
suppress QSS.
Nice.
Senna ult 2.
He can take this.
Bamboo bad ult. Nocturne's coming in. Nocturne coming in. Oh, Bamboo, you flashed too late. Davis was not another Warwick stuck in no man's land.
Yeah. This is game over here. They can push to end.
I mean,
they've got a big wave and they've got 30.
They've got a 10k goal lead.
Yep, there we go. That was pretty much the deciding point of that game. Rise planted in the side lane. Gourmet Gang tried to stop this gold hemorrhaging from happening. They tried to make a play on the Rise, but it was instantly turned around by the Nocturne, by the Senna ult, by the Shen ult. They did not have much of a say in that one. Okay, now we take a look at the next games. We had Ruined Kings versus Off-Roll Aquarium. Big advantages for Aquarium in the bot lane, again, but Ruined Kings held on, and especially their top side, I feel like, kept them in the game when it mattered, especially when it came down to those team fights later into the game. MDip on set and Luke Caruana on the Gragas was the highlight of the match. The crucial moment was the Baron standoff where Ruined Kings almost wiped ORA, and that pretty much allowed them to get back into the game. Baron attempt that probably shouldn't have happened. Luke Caruana, again, ridiculously good performance on this Gragas. And again, let's take a look at some clips.
Senna does insane.
Yeah.
Senna's got crack.
Gotta wait.
The match somewhere.
This is not. Sorry. Whoops. Yeah. Let's try again. Let's find this manually. This one first. There we go.
Team take Baron. They know the jungler's bot side. It is going to be a 3v4 contested. Eternal Ether, Vince dropping the culling as well as the Ardent Blaze. Bullet time going to come across the three. Zero Jr. getting chunked very, very low in the pit. Is going to get knocked into egg form by the Baron. Demonic Extension popped by Brother Crow as well as the Everfrost. And Feb is going to find the first kill of the fight on to Eternal Ether. Teasums dragging out MDiv and not going to find anyone. But Luke Caruana going to pick up Christian Simeone on the own. Callow picks up the Anivia as well. Brother Crow in versus 4, can't quite find Feb. He's going to be shut down on the back of the fight. MDiv going to blast home back in. And this is Baron for the Ruin King.
Yeah, this was a crucial point. And then we have also the Gragas 3-man combo. That was another nasty play. Let's look at that one.
Funny.
Just a second.
Finally engaged though onto Eternal Ether is kind of left in 1v5. Not a lot going to come with it. MDiv going to grab Everfrost coming out from Brother Crow. They're catching a big root. Flash body slam on 3 though. Luke Caruana's going massive in the backline. MDiv with a showstopper on to Eternal Ether. Double kill for Luke Caruana, but 2 going to fall for the Aquarium as well. Can they find?
And those were the 2 most exciting clips from that game. Then we have to cap off day 1 of week 1. We had Ghostport Gods versus Invulnerables. This was a pretty big test for Invul. Obviously, a new team coming into the league. No one really knew what to expect. Also, as showcased by the preseason power rankings, Invulnerables ended up at 7th, but we decided, you know what? No, just no. That's not where we stand. We're going to prove that we are a stronger team than that. And they came out swinging in this game. They passed the test with flying colors. There were some advantages for Ghostport Gods in the early game. We did have a gold lead at one point, but the sheer scaling on the side of Invul was just too much to handle. Nasus in the top lane from Yuri Undertones. You had the Victor from SS Friendship. You had the Caitlyn Seraphine combo. So much scaling between all of these champions. And at some point, it's just unwinnable if you don't have the right composition to fight against that. And I don't think Ghostport Gods were well equipped in that case. Now let's look at the most exciting moment from that game, which was the pentakill.
The GP and just hit the tower.
Nice flash away there from Yuri Undertones, but he's going to get caught in the catapult.
He's gonna hit me, boy. Doesn't matter.
Cannon Barrage, he's 1v5. Is he going to be able to find anything? Massive damage onto both Gardevoir and Firestorm. But the Encore hits 2, or only hits 1, sorry, because of the Windwall. Shockwave only hitting 1 onto Weebly, though. And it is currently 1-for-1 in the fight. Going to be 2-for-1 as SS Friendship does pick up Salami Salad.
Oh!
Gardevoir escaping on a sliver, but the Death Laser going to clip for the triple. Is this going to be a pentakill for SS Friendship? Juka jamming going to find Weebly. SS Friendship getting knocked up. Last breath comes down from him for Wolf's It's the Quadra for SS Friendship. Can he find the pentakill? Pentakill on day 1. SS Friendship on the victor.
Yep. Not bad. Not bad for a first game in UNL. SS Friendship securing that pentakill on the victor. Yep. That is hard to top, but Hive Mind on Sunday, came in with a lot to prove. Your first game was not very impressive, to say the least. They did make a lot of questionable decisions in that game, but against Hex, yeah, they were angry. They were quite angry, and we almost saw a second pentakill, funnily enough, but unfortunately, a certain golem did not want to see that happen. Yeah, that will be a highlight clip. HiveMind really, really clean in terms of macro. I think the cleanest game in terms of macro that we've seen in the entirety of week 1. Very controlled, very much understanding of the win conditions that we were going for. In control from start to finish, and we did not let Kassadin take over a game on the other side. That was the most scary champion on the other side, and they really had to make sure that no kind of snowball happens while they're trying to consistently take objective after objective. Don't let him even have one kill. And when the first fight happened, Kassadin didn't really have any kills to his name, so I guess HiveMind succeeded on that front. Now let's see the clip from that game. Scumbag Daisy.
The GP and just hit the tower.
Nice flash away there from Yuri, but is
Not this one.
Be right away constantly or
Not this one either.
Version of
Yeah, I'm sorry for this one, but week 1, a little bit shaky. Not everything figured out just yet, but hopefully I'll get there eventually.
The GP and just hit the tower.
nice flash away there from Yuri, but is going to get caught in the catapult. Edward now picked up
Alright, here we
4
go.
kill of Vanilla. Fancy going for the
Coming in,
battle.
coming out.
Pop on to 4. Magnus Storm catching 3 though, and the Pop Blossom going to stun everyone else down. Fancy can't quite find it because Bishop finding the first kill of the fight. Kinnerlun asking back on to Fancy, but there's just too much shielding, too much healing coming out of this Ivan Outlaw, providing way too much. BDMG diving forward, Killer Vanilla going to go down, triple kill for the Vayne. Going to be a quadra now, and are we going to see another pentakill on the second dev? UNL, we are. Oh no, we're not stolen by the Ivan. Pentakill stolen by the Ivan.
Yep. Unfortunately, we did not get to witness 2 pentakills in 1 week. It was very close. Next game, Wings Club versus Ghostport Gods. Oh man, this was something else. Wings Club versus Ghostport Gods. Both teams very much spec'd to play for team fights. Not much else going on. Basically, fight after fight happening near neutral objectives, but it was mostly Ghostport Gods coming out on top with Duke of Jamming playing the Galio, very much one of his signature champions if you look at the past seasons. And you also had Trundle stealing some of the tank's stats on the other side, and also the Kaisa diving in with the rest of the team. So Ghostport Gods did end up with a gold lead eventually, but you would think that the game ended after some kind of Baron fight where, you know, Ghostport Gods takes a Baron, and then just eventually gets to the end of the game. But after Ghostport Gods took Baron, something completely out of left field happened. And yeah, let's take a look. Because this was nothing like anyone expected going into that game.
See a bit of a base race, maybe. Ghostport Gods pushing through the mid lane with Baron buff, whereas the Wings Club going to shove it through top. Wings Club have a bit of an advantage, but Ghostport Gods have the Baron. We're going to see a base race as the way this game does end. Gardevoir are going to get caught out and blown up. Inhibitors dropping in both the mid and top lanes. Who's going to win out on this? I would argue the favor is currently flying with Wings Club, as they do have the man advantage. Torret Nexus Turret 1 falls on both sides. Nexus Turret 2 about to go
Can't-
down
can't see
in the
him.
Gospel. Both Nexus Turrets have fallen. So who's going to take the Nexus quickest? Who is going to find this? It goes to Gospel God's going to pick up the wheel on the base race.
Oh my word! Lovely
What?
decision.
Oh. Oh my god, you did not see the clip. Okay, let's try again. Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's see it again.
I
No,
really
no,
do
no,
think
no, no,
I
no.
think what Mikey said about not rushing into a long-term relationship is absolutely right. By the way, that's.
No, I've just.
Oh my word.
Unless you want to.
I mean, if you really.
Oh, this is a bit of a nightmare.
Kind
Bit
of
of a
tempted to just throw
nightmare.
my face at Ornstein and smoke as is.
Right. I'm sorry. Let's just load up this clip again. Ah.
See a bit of
Alright. I'm really sorry for the technical difficulties. I think we have to move on. Be Invictus versus Ruined Kings. Another crazy game for neutral viewers, especially. I feel like so many team fights that Be Invictus miraculously worked to turn around. But yeah, Ruined Kings were in the driver's seat for pretty much the entirety of that game, and they eventually closed it out. Though Be Invictus did have plenty of highlight moments along the way.
Target, escaped with the flash. Misfortune ult quickly cancelled. It's a good Wukong ult, but he's just too far behind. It's just not enough damage. But Olaf, he's quite strong. He takes down Misfortune. It's not a terrible fight. Olaf is still surviving in this fight, but Biz has turned up. He's gonna take him out, burst him out before he can keep healing. But Dave, can he do it? He smacks the 2. Can he smack 3? The fish is on the run. Triple kill!
Yep, and this is the team fight that kept Be Invictus in that game until quite long. But we also have the Axe of Justice. Let's look at the Axe of Justice.
Thing 4 times in a row where they're all standing on the other side of the wall by this blast cone and not actually going through one of the chokes to contest in the river. They can't just stand over the other side of the wall. They're not doing anything over there. Oh, but the axe takes it! Oh my god!
No smite on the other side. Aussie Nox manages to take that dragon and deny the Mountain Soul from Ruined Kings. They eventually got it, but yeah, with plays like that, Be Invictus tried to scrape their way back into the game. And finally, to close off week 1, Invulnerables versus Gourmet Gang. If you ask me, this was like the reenaction of Godzilla versus King Kong. Both top laners in that game were so unbelievably huge. So scary, both Vanessas and Vialawi from Blaziken. Absolutely ridiculous amounts of damage. But eventually, as a wise man once said, top diff is team diff. Invulnerables did eventually win back quite cleanly. Many teamfights went in their favor. Ace for 0 in many cases. So another very strong showing from Invol, and they secured that 2-0 victory. But now let's look at the last clip. The Blazikers 1v4. This was a moment of hope for Gourmet Gang as they tried to get their first win.
Thing 4 times in a row where they're all standing on the other side of the wall by this blast cone and not actually going through one of the choke. Just in time. And Alawi finds herself in the middle of 3 people. This is exactly what she wants. Oh, it's not 3 people. Oh, yep. Okay, Yumi comes out and gives her a free one. No, Info, this is not what you want. They're just fucking running into this hentai! Oh my god, there's illegal in so many countries!
Blazicus was quite massive in that point, and Invol, perhaps, you know, they thought they could take on allowing the 1v4, but that was a rookie mistake. You know that 1v4s and 1v5s are the comfort zone for Alawi. You just cannot do that. That concludes a week 1 recap. So much to talk about. Let's look at week 2. Let's look at how the schedule is going to look like for next week before we move on to the best of week 1 awards, the part that everyone's looking for every time we do one of those UNL recalls. Let's look at the schedule. Schedule for week 2. We'll open up with a banger. Ruined Kings versus Invulnerables. 1-0 has to go. Both teams are unbeaten. Both teams have shown some very good individual performances, so this one is surely going to be exciting. Then on Sunday we have Wings Club versus Ruined Kings and Invulnerables versus Awful Aquarium. I feel like both of these matches also should be quite exciting, especially if Awful Aquarium picks up some of that, picks up their performance going into week 2, because their first game did not quite go according to plan. Awful's first game is against B Invictus. Will also look to prove themselves as a actual playoff contender. The first game against Gourmet Gang looked quite solid, but yeah, they'll have to beat tougher opponents if they want to remain in that playoff fight going into the latter part of the season. And that's it when it comes to week 1 and week 2. We finally covered everything. And now, best of week 1. This is the moment that everyone's waiting for, like I mentioned. And there are some outliers when it comes to week 1. Some players just really wowed the public when it comes to their performances. Especially, you could look at the top lane and the mid lane. Really good stuff from the solo laners this week. But yeah, without further ado, let's just look at Team of the Week for week 1. Drum roll. Here's Team of the Week. 2 members of Invulnerables made it into Team of the Week, unsurprisingly. We also have 2 members of Ruined Kings and 1 sole member of Wings Club. Who else could it be? Of course it's a Renz. He makes it onto Team of the Week once more. It's Dev Taxes and the Renz making it to Team of the Week. Nothing changed from Season 3. This guy just continues to play solid League of Legends, even if it is overly aggressive at times. Rins just keeps up the good performances. Halion was very solid in week 1, very much deserved. Then you have SS Friendship with the pentakill on the first day of competition, absolutely smashing it. And yeah, we love to see it, and we'd love to see more of that. Very good stuff. Yuri Undertones, 2 games on his signature Nasus. I think, yeah, teams will have to think twice before they let that one through again. And finally, last but not least, Luke Caruana with with an absolutely amazing game on Vigragas in the first game, and then also very much respectable play on the Hecarim in the second game, being the driving force for the team. And that pretty much secured the Ruined Kings a 2-0 finish at the end of the day. 72% voted for SS Friendship. That was an absolute landslide. We also have 45%. Very big numbers for Yuri Undertones and Luke Caruana. 72%. Okay, now that we know Team of the Week, let's look at the UNL Season 4 Week 1 MVP. And I don't think it'll come as much of a surprise when I say SS Friendship is indeed your MVP. And the stats speak for themselves. This man was absolutely unstoppable in Week 1. 10.8 KDA, 2.5 damage per gold. If you understand how damage per gold works, then you will know that this is an incredible stat when it comes to mid lane. Damage per minute also, 1,130. Damage share, another ridiculous stat, 41%. Overall, in Week 1, 41% damage share. That is just... wow. SS Friendship absolutely delivered for Invol in the first week. And honestly, if he continues to play like this, then Invol, they potentially have what it takes to really compete with the big boys. Very, very convincing performance from SS Friendship. Not only him, but honestly the entire Invol team. The big ups to these guys coming in. Not scared of the competition. Obviously, you know, some cynics would say that, you know, you only played against Gold Sport Gods and Gourmet Gang, so chill out. And to that, I say, calm down. If you look at their play in the actual games, then you'll understand that this is only the beginning, and Invol will indeed be a team to watch in the upcoming weeks. I really believe so. This is only the beginning for these guys, and SS Friendship, what a performance. Not much else to say on that one. Whew. That was intense, but we finally got through all of it. UNL recall, pretty much that is it for me. We covered Week 1, we covered how Week 1 compares to preseason expectations for each team. We also took a look at some of the exciting clips from the previous week. This segment will be returning for Week 2 and all of the weeks following Week 2. I think this has been a pretty big success. Oh, I forgot. Moment of the week, of course. Moment of the week. So from all of the clips that you've seen on the screen, it was the one that I actually, you know what? Yeah. We have to show this now. We have to show this now, don't we? Because it is in fact the Winx Club versus Ghost Sport Gods base race that got the highest number of votes, and it wins Moment of the Week for Week 1. Absolutely ridiculous turn of events. No one expected the base race to happen. It just came out of thin air. Just both teams decided, you know what? We're tired. We're tired of playing. Let's just decide here and now who has the fastest push. And yeah, Ghost Sport Gods were the team with the Baron buff, so guess it's not surprising that they won out in the end. Let's take a look at that clip now. Also, fun fact.
It's a bit of a bait.
Fun fact on this one. Ghostport Gods, when it came to predicting who's going to take the game before the game happened, they received 2% of the bets compared to 98% of Wings Club. So you can officially dub this the 2% heist for Ghostport Gods.
Just in time.
Very much a successful heist.
And allow he finds himself.
See a bit of a base race, maybe. Ghostport Gods pushing through the mid lane with Baron buff, whereas the Wings Club going to shove it through top. Wings Club have a bit of an advantage, but Ghostport Gods have the Baron. We're going to see a base race as the way this game does end. Dynamo are going to get caught out and blown up. Inhibitors dropping in both the mid and top lanes. Who's going to win out on this? I would argue the favor is currently flying with Wings Club, as they do have the man advantage. Nexus Turret 1 falls on both sides. Nexus Turret 2 about to go down in the Gospel. Both Nexus Turrets have fallen, so who's going to take the Nexus quickest? Who is going to find us? It goes to Gospel God's going to pick up the wheel on the base race.
Oh my word! Lovely decision.
Well, it's really some things you just have to see for yourself. when you look at both drafts from these teams, you're like, yeah, of course they would end in the base race. Why do you even ask? Both teams expect for team fighting, but you know what? Sometimes you just gotta flip it. You just gotta do a base race, and that's what happened in the Wings Club versus Ghostport Gods game. All right, that finally concludes it for this episode of UNL Recall. Thank you all for watching. A little bit of technical difficulties along the way, but we got through it all. UNL Recall broadcast every Wednesday. We get all the exciting clips. We talk about what happened the previous week on every episode, so make sure to tune in if you missed some of the action. Thank you all once again, and we'll see you next Wednesday.